Joining us right now from his home, and I gotta think that's a really nice thing to hear. His own bed, his own house, his own closet, the one, the only Kevin Huerter, brought to you by Jiffy Lube. Welcome home, Red Velvet. How are you?
I'm doing good, guys. It's like you said, it's definitely good to be home off the road trip. It's no fun just going suitcase to suitcase, unpacking, repacking. It's nice to sit on your own couch, watch your own TVs. It's see your own barber. It's definitely great to be home.
Did the jacket make it back?
We want to know, did the jacket make it?
No, the jacket did not make it. They couldn't find it. Our equipment guys were our equipment guys had no idea, and we didn't bother calling the hotel back. So
Wow,
jacket's gone.
Casualty of the trip. What was, when you come home, like, do you ever notice there's something I should have put in the fridge? The door is open. I have a stack of mail this high, or all of it for being gone that long.
Yeah, I always empty my fridge before we leave. Usually, that's a bad. You get back and it smells, especially like a 2-week trip you prepare for. The worst, this happened when we were getting all that rain a couple weeks ago, my pool flooded. So like the whole backyard was underwater. So honestly, that was like my biggest thing when I came back home was I went right to the backyard to check and see if somehow it was flooded again. But the worst is when you leave lights on. Usually I walk back in. If I walk back in the house to a dark, empty house, it's usually a good thing.
The weird part about the trip is you had extra days in Houston, extra days in Minnesota. I'm thinking back to Minnesota. Does that feel like a month ago now?
Yeah, it feels like forever ago. And that was a weird trip. Like it was so cold there. That was the start of our trip. It was a weird way to go about it. It was like that was like the welcome, like, hey, this next 2 weeks is gonna mostly suck.
We're a day removed from the trade deadline, and Jason and I are on and all the shows. We're all refreshing Twitter and looking for what Woj and Shams are saying and freaking out left and right. And I played a clip for Jason yesterday morning. It was Rudy Gay talking about Mike Conley being traded and how he has 3 sons and a wife, and no one's going to feel sorry for millionaire basketball players. I get it, but listen, you're all human, and these are real world events. We're tripping on trade deadline day. What's it like for you?
It's definitely, I mean, there's certain years you feel a little bit safer than others. For me personally, this was a year I felt overall pretty safe getting here just a couple short months ago, and obviously with the success we've had so far. So I personally was not stressing. Last trade deadline I was. It's kind of funny. It's like everyone on the day knows that anything can happen. So I think all the players, like, there's a lot of jokes. I couldn't tell you how many times, like last night after the game, like guys are going over checking their phones, like Davion to Houston. Oh my God, Kevin to Golden State. Like everyone just kind of like cracking jokes. Or we were at the facility, the morning of, like the day of the trade deadline, and every time someone gets a phone call, it's like everyone like holds their breath, and it's kind of just, it's funny. I remember as the closing minutes were coming to an end, there was a bunch of us sitting in our like cafeteria, our kitchen, eating food, and we were sitting there for like the last 30 minutes of the deadline as everything was happening. We got in there early, we did our workouts, and then there was a couple guys on the court before practice officially began, and we were just sitting in the kitchen, and it was like we're checking Twitter just like everybody else. Like that's where we were getting our news. You're watching Woj, you're watching Shams, and the other people reporting it. And at the end of the day, it's just like you don't really know what's going to happen. You hope, at least in my case, I hope that if there was a day that I am traded at the deadline, I would hear it from my agent first, and I wouldn't hear it from somebody tweeting it. But that is, it doesn't always work out that way. So it's a stressful day. I think people try to make light of it and try to crack jokes to get over how stressful it is. But for the most part, we're getting our news just like everybody else is.
And I'm sure you're much like Dave and I and our listeners, where you guys probably as a team also went, wait, Toronto did what? Or Miami did, just this player went where? Oh, they're stacked. I mean, do you guys react the same way I think that we probably do?
Yeah, a little bit. Definitely for the most part. There's some guys you kind of have a scoop of where they want to get to and what guys are unhappy in what situations. And but for the most part, it's like we're playing GM, we're playing fantasy just like everyone else is. Like, oh, how does this guy work on this team? Oh, this guy's going there. The same conversations are happening. And like I said, there was a bunch of us sitting in the kitchen, literally as I think it was 11:30. It was the trade deadline came to an end at 12. It's 3:00 on the East Coast. So we're sitting there 11:30 to 12, just kind of eating, watching ESPN, watching our phones, and just kind of like, hey, if something happens, I guess we're all going to find out together.
If I'm as Kevin Huerter joins us, brought to you, of course, by Jiffy Lube each and every week. If I'm doing my math right, I want to say a 7-game road trip. You finished the game with Houston, which I promise we'll get to in a second. And I want to say the Durant trade broke while you were on the plane. How does that happen? Does somebody just do they get a notification? Does everybody pop up? Were you guys all sleeping? How did that go?
Yeah, most guys are hanging out. It was pretty early in our flight. Most guys are hanging out, watching shows, on the phones, scrolling, obviously social media accounts. And yeah, it was just kind of one of those, like everyone seemed to see the notification at the same time. And it was just like I'm sure every other team in the West was just like, damn, like KD's going to Phoenix. You saw obviously the trade package was huge, but I kind of feel like the way the Nets were downplaying it, I kind of felt like you could feel something was happening. I feel like when a team goes out of their way to really be like, we're definitely not trading a guy. We're not like, usually that means that they're looking elsewhere and something's going to happen in private. So I think I expected something to happen, and especially the night before the trade deadline is usually when everything kind of starts and kicks off. So most of us, we were on the plane and definitely had a reaction.
Dave mentioned the Houston game. I don't know if the thought crossed your mind when you're finishing that game. Obviously, the game and the end is bizarre, but ever crossed your mind, Kevin, that you felt pretty safe about the deadline, but you're looking, man, is this the last time I'm playing with this guy? Is this the last time I'm playing? I mean, you don't know, but did that thought ever cross your mind?
It didn't. To be honest, it's one of those things in this business, like you come to expect it. Like it's for the way the trade deadline went, with us mostly staying pat and everyone staying on the team, is that happens less often than it does, where you're missing a couple guys. I was at a trade deadline a couple years when I was in Atlanta. We were at the trade deadline. We were in Minnesota, and Alex Len got traded during the game. Like he was on the bench. The security guard walked up, tapped him on the shoulder, and was like, "Hey, you got to get out of here. You just got traded. Get back to the locker room." His stuff was gone. So that was, me and Alex, we went to the same college, obviously playing the same team before, now we're on the same team again. So we have a really good relationship. And it was something, again, like we were joking and like, hey, let's not have a Minnesota situation all over again. But it's just something that you have to be prepared for. It's the business. You see every year there's multiple guys and teams are involved in trades. It's just a part of it. And if it happens, it happens. And you enjoy the time you had with your teammates.
It's interesting from a player perspective how we watch it as fans and media folk when, for example, let's say last night, I won't even name names, but let's say superstar player X got traded to the Kings, and you guys all find out about it together. But of course, that means that teammates YZ, PDQ are on their way out. It's like, how do you split the emotions between, oh my God, I'm excited, our team just got a lot better, and I'm really going to miss my friends?
Yeah, I think it definitely depends on the situation. You could have teammates that might get traded that for them personally and in their career, it's better for them in their career. They're going to go someplace else and get better opportunity to go to a better system. And that's obviously not how it works out all the time, but trades a lot of times look negative. You lose teammates, but sometimes guys are happy to go. Sometimes guys are just, looking for greener pastures. And I haven't been on a team yet where there's been a massive blockbuster mid-season. We traded a bunch of guys or got a guy. I haven't been a part of one of those. But I'll go back to that Minnesota. Like Alex was back at the hotel, and I remember a bunch of guys we met in the lobby. We were on a long road trip and like had one last drink with him, and we're just like, hey, appreciate it. You're telling quick stories. And then it's kind of like he goes on his way. It's like, you're going to see the guy again. You play every team every year. Obviously, guys are close in this business, but it definitely depends on the situation, because a lot of times you're happy for your teammate. You'll go into a situation where he might personally excel more than he was on your own team.
I know you saw a lot of other teams very aggressive. The Kings, had one smaller move. It's all on how you look at things, Kev. I guess part of it could be, hey, look, the front office really likes what we've got and likes what you've built already. How did you guys kind of take, I guess the word is lack of movement for your team, but kind of keeping what you've got going forward?
Yeah, we've, the first half of this year, luckily, we put ourselves in a position now to control our own destiny. So, I'm not obviously in the room making front office decisions. I'm for the most part out of the loop with what our team is thinking, and where they see this organization going, just like most of the players are. That's normal across the NBA. But for us, I mean, we're in a really good spot. I think our team has a lot of really good chemistry. We've, the way we're built, and when we're at our best, it definitely takes a lot of chemistry to play in the offense that we're doing, to do a lot of things defensively that we're doing. There's been a lot of practice hours, practicing a lot of it. And so, I think from a team perspective and probably from a coach's perspective, it's easier to do what we're doing, which is just continue with the guys that we've had that have already won at a high level and beaten a lot of really good teams. And from the front office, I'm not, obviously I think there's a path that doesn't include just this year of getting better. I'm sure that was a part of the decision-making for this deadline. And at the end of the day, we're confident with the group we have moving forward. And as long as we take care of our business, we should put ourselves in a good spot.
Kevin Huerter, brought to you by Jiffy Lube. And, I know we keep flip-flopping back and forth, but let's go to the situation. Last night, end of a road trip. It's a wonky game. Jalen Green's going off. And between the Fox steal and the inbound, you have a foul to give. I think it was about 2.3. There's the foul, then 1.7. Malik steals the ball, timeout, and then everything that happened after that. I got to ask you about what you saw on that last play. We were going over it, Kevin. I swear they ran the same exact inbounds play 2 times in a row. Am I wrong there?
No, they did. They did. A lot of times the teams in the game, you try to create space. So a lot of teams just send guys to the backcourt to try to allow their better, quicker players to sprint and get open in space. So a lot of times you don't have to reinvent the wheel. They weren't able to get the ball in, and we kind of came out in the same denied defense. And Malik made a great read. We switched the right way, and he came up with a huge steal with not much time coming off the clock. Mike was able to get a quick timeout. But even before that, like Jalen Green, like you alluded to, like it was just tough shot after tough shot. I thought for the most part, our defense and the way we're trying to corral him and force him into tough shots, we were doing a good job. And sometimes and that's the NBA. Offense is usually better than defense. And Fox had a huge steal at half court to bring it back to a 1-possession game after it looked like it's a 5-point game. There's 50 seconds left. You're looking at like, okay, if the Rockets do what they need to do, they should win this game at the free throw line. And that steal was huge, just kind of changing the course of the next 42 seconds, I think it was, when he laid the ball in. And then we get the ball out of bounds. The play we were running, I think the Rockets went small, and I believe Domas was setting the final screen to try to free up. It was either Malik or it was De'Aaron. We had a couple options looking at that play. And I remember like telling HB before, like, make sure you look at Domas, give him a look. Like we didn't need a 3. Obviously, we were only down 1. Malik was most likely going to have a smaller guy on him that he could set a screen and seal his man in the paint. And so that originally was a look. I think we're looking for Malik sprinting to the corner, and then Fox got open. Went up into a shot, and it's funny, it's every angle and every media outlet is showing the angle from the sideline and asking if it's a foul. If you look at the play from the baseline, it is like a no-brainer. It is a foul. So it's and I don't want to like be the hater that goes and tweets it, but it's like I'm so tempted because of how many times things have not gone our way. But if you look at the replay from the baseline where our bench was, it's like Gordon completely like cuts underneath him, like bumps him, like takes his legs out of it. Like that is a foul. And Fox obviously went to the free throw line and made all his free throws.
But you don't always get that call. They could have non-called that, and it would have been another one on the list. What is, unfortunately, a long list this year. I mean, they did get it right, but did it feel good to finally be on the right side of one of those?
It did. I mean, to be honest, that jump ball, that was, the 2-minute report came out that was off of Gordon. And I remember Fox coming to the bench pretty upset, like thinking it was happening again. Like everything, like kind of the calls not going our way at the end of games. And he's like, man, that was out on him. It should be our ball. That was out on him. Like pretty upset. The refs, they couldn't review it. NBA rules, they couldn't go back. We had already used our challenge. And, in that moment, it was nice to see him get it right. It was a foul. The play on the court was a foul, and they called it.
We were talking yesterday morning about this, and you might be a little bit biased because it happened to you. We totally agree and we talked about that. They're not showing the right angle. It was an obvious foul. But I asked Jason at one point, I said, I almost think the foul they called on Gordon was less obvious than the foul they didn't call on Clay when you got fouled 3 times. Do you see that? I almost feel like the no call was more obvious than the one they finally called last night.
Yeah, I in the moment I definitely thought it was obvious. In the replay, I definitely thought it was obvious. Obviously that one didn't go our way. This one did. This one we came out with a win.
Yeah. How about coming home? You said it's been a long time. It can be great to have the fans. 2 more home games before the break, and here's Kyrie Irving and Luka as a pairing. That's a unique treat of the trade deadline. But what an opportunity you have over the next couple nights.
It is. Our schedule the rest of the season is pretty brutal. Every night is going to be someone new, and there's a lot of good teams, but we're a good team too. There's the Mavs are coming in. They have 2 guys that are if they get it going, 2 guys in the NBA that are pretty tough to stop, regardless of what defenders you have, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm definitely glad we're playing them on our home court, but they're going to be tough. Kyrie is really tough to guard one-on-one. Luke is really tough to guard one-on-one. They have a lot of shooters around them, and it'll be obviously a challenge for us.
Since we were talking about rest and without getting you in trouble, I can't believe I haven't asked you this before. I'm hoping that Adam Silver and the rest of the crew look at something over the side. They just do something. The refs are doing their best, but something to protect them as well as protect you guys. And one of the things we've been talking about was maybe adjusting it so that if a coach challenges a call and wins the call, they keep their challenge, kind of like in football, something like that. Do you think that's something that maybe could work, or are we missing something there?
I 100%. I think that's the easiest one to go to. The NBA at the end of the day, they don't want the game they want the game to flow. They don't want there to be so many stoppages and going to the replay TV and looking at this or that. I think the bigger, I don't say issue, it's the same issue, but I think you got to find some way where there's the process is expedited. There's a replay center somewhere else where the refs on the court aren't necessarily making the final call, but it's okay. Coach's challenge, there's a replay center that's already looking at it. And, the refs, they go put on the headphones and they get the call right away within 30 seconds where they're not sitting there looking at a TV on the court. And I know there's a collaboration going on right now. That's why they put the headphones on. They're talking to people. I believe it's in New York, but I believe at the end of the day, the refs that are in the game are the ones making the final call. They're watching the replay, and that's what slows the game down. So I know that's what the NBA is worried about, is giving that challenge back. But I think at the end of the day, we're trying to get the game right. We're trying to have the game be called fairly and have the correct calls be made. So if you win a challenge, you should 100% be able to get it back to potentially correct another call.
Hey, since we last talked, by the way, congrats. You got the chain again.
Hey.
Did. Me and Malik, we keep doing this. We have like this little friendly competition. So I get it, and then the very next game, he gets it. So it's fun, man. I'll just keep getting my deflections.
We know you're pulling for the Chiefs by default because you can't root for the Eagles, but coming up on Sunday, without getting too personal into your own life, I know you got a Friday, Saturday game, or you have any plans for Super Bowl? And more importantly to us, because this is going to be a big topic, is there a go-to food you've always got to have for Super Bowl?
There is. I mean, it's honestly food I can't have anymore. When I was growing up, it was like the buffalo chicken dip, mozzarella sticks, chicken wings, the piggies in a blanket, garbage bread. My mom used to just make a bunch of appetizers. Garbage bread. She would basically make a roll. She would take like a Pillsbury roll, and she would roll like anything you want. She'd make a buffalo chicken one. It would basically like calzones. So she would call it garbage bread. So you would just throw, if you want to make cheese, pepperoni, salami, peppers, like kind of whatever was in the fridge. You could throw into basically a calzone at home. And we never really ate dinner. It was always, we would just kind of snack all day, eat appetizers all day. Every half an hour, she'd have something new coming out. And I can't eat any of that anymore. So we will see. Maybe I'll sneak in like a buffalo chicken dip. But definitely have plans to watch the game. Don't exactly know where that was. We were trying for the longest. If people don't know, we go to Phoenix. We play them Tuesday, and the Super Bowl is in Phoenix on Sunday. So originally, this was like months ago. Our great veteran Harrison Barnes tried to see if we could change our travel plans for the whole team to fly as a party on Sunday morning and practice in Phoenix, and then go to the Super Bowl, practice in Phoenix Monday, like have it kind of be this whole thing. And never really went anywhere. So we're going Monday, going to keep business as usual, make sure basketball is the most important thing. And but I do not have plans in Sacramento yet to watch the Super Bowl, so we'll see.
Okay. Well, we'll you're always welcome at our place. We'll fire up the garbage bread. Of course, that's the thing. You couldn't eat anything we're doing. So you're just that's so sad, dude. You're just in a corner eating celery sticks and carrots or something. But
It's like a short period of my life. I got like, 10, 12, hopefully 15 years of being this good. And then the rest of my life, I could eat all that again.
Oh, we appreciate it. We appreciate you. Welcome home. Long road trip, longest of the year. And of course, it happens right before the All-Star break. Oh my gosh, I can't let you go yet. When are we going to find out about the 3-point contest? Anything yet? Are we on pins and needles?
That is a great question. I think hopefully this week we will see. We will see.
Are you pulling for it, or are you still split on wanting the week off? You want to go?
No, I'm definitely pulling to try to be in. So so we will see.
All right. Well, we wish you luck, and maybe next time we talk, we'll be talking to you as you get ready to nail that competition down. Appreciate your time, and also glad you're home. We'll talk to you next week.
That sounds good, guys. Thank you.
All right. That's Kevin Huerter. We will be right back.